To the channel. Today we're going to be doing the third and final project, the flasher. That's what I should have called it instead of just flash. And I wonder why I named it that. This project will do things based on the input with the switches, much like this, but in a more complicated way. And if you hit both of them at the same time, well, I'm going to wait for you to figure that out. We've got some stuff that we've already seen before, the LEDs, just like over here, our current control resistors at 220 ohms, because 220, 221, whatever it takes. And we've also got our two 10K resistors and the AT Tiny. That's what that big black chip is there. We haven't worked with these yet, so we'll have to go over what those are. Let's get right into that after I switch that thing too far over. So our AT Tiny right there is a very wonderful thing, and we will be spending a lot of time with those on our projects. They are great for hobby work. They're inexpensive and they're so versatile. You can do anything with them. They are microcontrollers. So what is a microcontroller? So a microcontroller, if you have it like that, or better yet, let's go with that one. Pretend, you know what, I got a marker. We'll just do that. 5 volt and ground. There we go. So that guy's powered up. There we go. So what you can do with that, oh, I bumped the stand again. I hope I didn't make anybody sick. We can dump some code in there. And we can dump code in that says these are outputs and these are inputs. Or we can dump some code in there that says those are inputs and those are outputs. We get to define what it is. And we will get into that in later videos because it's so fun and so versatile. I really love working with them. So in our particular case, we're going to go with there. We got 2 inputs and 4 outputs on this one. And the only reason we have 4 outputs is because I am not going to draw 6 outputs. Let me back that up a little bit. There we go. That looks a little bit better. There we go. And then here's our outputs. And that is nowhere near lined up because I am not an artist. So inside here we have our microcontroller. We have our 2 inputs, which is our 2 little switches. We'll grab the board over here. There we go. So those 2 buttons feed into our microcontroller and output on the 6 LEDs. I'm not drawing another LED. Now, we still don't have those in there. Those are called pull-up resistors. I hope they're pull-up resistors in this case, but it might be pull-down resistors. Yeah, they're pull-down resistors. So, what those are is resistors that are attached to the input. So on our input, and then we have 10K going to ground. And then our switches are going to be applying 5 volts. The reason we want to do that is, and I know people are screaming that 3 batteries like that at 1.5 volts each is not 5 volts. You know what? It's close enough for an AT Tiny. It doesn't care, so we can call it 5 volts. So for something to be a high, it needs to be above, say, that dashed line. If that were 4.5, that dashed line is probably around 3.2-ish or somewhere in there. And that dashed line is right about 1 volt. So something to be considered a high will be up there. Something to be considered a low has to be down here. But without these resistors here, it'll float all around, and sometimes it'll be high, sometimes it'll be low. So what we do is we time to ground with a 10K resistor. So if nothing else is on there, it works great. And then when you apply your switch, such as putting the bottom switch on, now it's going to be 5 volts there because ground, 10K and 5 volts is going to show 5 volts right there. And with this microcontroller, if we put in a very special kind of code, that 5 volts is going to do something with these LEDs. And the same is true if we hit, there we go, that switch down. The microcontroller will do something different with those LEDs. So that's really all there is to it. It's just a fancy thing that you can tell it, have an input and do an output. And really, when we get to it, it'll look complicated, but it's really, really easy. So let's get to the fun part, making stuff work. So there's our board, and which way do we want to start? Let's start with the buttons, or switches, or red doodads, or something like that. These, again, are pretty darn easy. You just line up 2 of the legs. Hopefully my fingers aren't getting in the way too much. What if I go like that? There we go. Oh, come on. There we go. Get 2 legs in, the other 2 legs in, and just push it in, and they hold themselves in place. It's so wonderful. And I did not prep my iron because I am an idiot. There we go. Alrighty. Let that iron heat up a little bit and get the solder out. There we go. Oh, that is some really bad lighting. I am really sorry about that, but I ain't going to be able to do anything about that anytime soon. I don't think. Nope. All right, let's see if we use that. That makes it worse. That makes it. Oh, there we go. That's pretty good. So again, going back to the very first lesson on soldering, I'm going to get the iron out. I'll put the heat bridge on, and then we'll apply the solder on the opposite side of where the heat is coming from, the soldering iron. And we'll apply solder until we get a nice concave fillet there like that. That's the plan, at least. All right, the tip's real clean and shiny. That's always very important. Let's see if this camera will stay in focus. Can we get it to stay in focus? Stay right there. So put our, I'll get the heat bridge. I'm going to cheat sometimes. It's just from doing it for a long time. I'll get the iron down and I'll apply the heat bridge there while it's already on the pad. And then I'll start feeding the solder in. There we go. And there we go. And I'm filming on a different potato, so you may not be able to see the fillet, but it's there. I'm just going to say it's there at least. I'm looking at the same screen you are. Well, not the same screen, but I'm doing this through the camera, so this is really, really weird. There we go. All right, we got those guys in, and we'll get these. I'm going to clean the iron off a little bit. I'm seeing some oxidation on there. Oxidation is not your friend. The brown stuff towards the back is oxidation. And I'll do another video about how to clean off iron tips. There's no point in taking up more time on this one. This is going to be a long video, so hopefully you got your coffee or your Red Bull or whatever the kids are drinking. There we go. We'll get this guy. No particular order on these. These are pretty stout switches. That's why I chose them for this project. You can do a lot of heat work with them, and they'll be okay. Now the gunk around the edges that you see, that's not solder. There you go. You can see that. Well, there is one little solder ball there, I think. But mostly all that gunk is the flux that's inside the solder. So we'll clean that off. Get a wipe, get our brush, find out what that paper is all about. There we go. It's just so pretty. Now you can go to town, pause the video, and clean the heck out of your board if you want. I'm just going to get it clean enough that it doesn't corrode ever. That's compressed air, by the way. There we go. So that looks a little bit better. But I'm not going to bore you with cleaning the whole thing. Alrighty. And we'll go on. We'll just work our way up. So the next one is our 10K resistors. Now in your kit is going to be these guys. They are 10Ks. Yeah, they're the precision kind. So they have five bands on them. I'm going to try. I've never done this before. First time on video. I'm going to try and bend both of these at the same time. This is probably going to not go well. Let's see. We'll give that a bend and that a bend. There we go. It's a little big, but there we go. All right. We'll chop these up. I'm kind of rushing through this, so please feel free to pause the video because this one's going to have some tedium in it. You know, you might want to get your lo-fi hip hop on and listen to that while doing this one. It's going to take some time. There we go. I'd play it, but I have absolutely no idea what copyright strikes are like, and I don't even know how I can do that. So I do have a piece that I wrote a while ago, but it's not good. I won't torture you with listening to my music. There we go. That guy's in. And I spread out the legs on the bottom a little bit just to keep them in place as we move things around. And this guy will be right about in the same area. And I'll call that good enough right about there. There we go. There we go. All right, we'll turn it around so it matches and looks pretty. With resistors, it doesn't matter how you put them in. Let's see, will this focus? Come on, focus. There you go. So you can see the lines. We got brown, black, black, red, and another brown or gold. I can't remember. I got to do a video about the color codes because I don't even remember them most of the time. It wouldn't matter if I had this one going the other way around. With resistors, it doesn't matter. Diodes and LEDs, it matters. Chips, it'll matter, and we'll get to that. So some components you can move around however you need them. Others, they have a particular way they go in. Okay, and refocus. There we go. Let's get our little helper out here. There we go. Alrighty, there we go. Now we're there. So I'm adding it, and I'll add a little bit more. There we go. Is that good? Nope, that didn't come out quite right. So heat it up, get a little bit more on there. There we go. Heat it up, get a little more on there. Alrighty, there we go. I need to clean that off a little bit. And we'll do the heat bridge ahead of time. Go in. Boom. It's important to pull the solder away from the iron first. There we go. Don't do solder, then iron. Or don't do iron, then solder, because the solder will stick. It'll harden right there in place. All right, I'm going to do this the cool way. We're going to chop off a little bit of that leg. Let's see if I can do this. Let's pull this out to here. You know what? I'm not going to do it the cool way. We'll do it the cool way later. We're just going to chop these. There we go. Usually you should chop them before doing the soldering, but it's for hobby level electronics. It's not a big deal. There we go, and there we go. So I reheated them because there's parts of the video. I cannot think. There's parts of the legs that are open and have exposed copper, and that copper is going to corrode fairly quickly compared to everything else. With hobby level electronics, it's not that big of a deal. If you're putting stuff into an airplane or somewhere not so good for electronics, it can be a problem. Let's see if this will focus. Oh, son of a gun. It stopped recording. Or did it? Oh, I think we're still recording. Okay, we're still recording. If I knew what I was doing with this potato. Okay. So now, let's get on to the tougher one. Ah, I broke off the T. Oh, well. My futile resistor is falling apart. This is not a fun night. Well, it's still kind of cool. All right, let's get all this out of the way. There we go. All right, on to the microcontroller. And I did not set it out, did I? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. Phew, that was going to be bad. There we go. So you can see on the drawings on the board, on the silk screen on the board here, grab a toothpick, there's a little dot and a little U shape right there, but where it says U. That's typically going to be your designator for a chip, a U part number, or a U reference designator rather. Switches, SW, resistors, R, chips are going to be U's sometimes. Sometimes they're going to be I, sometimes they're U. It's easy to figure out what's what. The chips you have, I went ahead and programmed all of them, and so the legs should be in the right position. But the best way to do this is to line up the legs on one side. So there we go. All those legs are in. How about I bring the camera around to this side or bring this around to this side? All those legs are in, but you kind of want it out a little ways. There we go. And you're going to want to, geez, this is a lot harder to show than I thought it would be. All right. You get all the legs in on one side, and then you're going to push against those legs a little bit to get the other legs to fall into place. And I did straighten all the legs on all the chips, so it should fall in pretty easily. Once you get it upside down, grab your tweezers or anything, and we'll just kind of bend one leg out here, and we'll bend one leg out here. Now, the little dot on the drawing corresponds to that little dot right there. And that little dot corresponds to pin 1. And these are counted around in a great big U shape. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I don't know. I lost count. No, it's 14. So let's try it with a different counting method. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So anyways, the whole point of that was it goes around in a U when you're counting on chips. Since we have our 2 little legs pulled out, we can just start soldering. Now, chips are a little bit sensitive to heat. Some more so than others. These tinies are pretty darn good. They're meant for hobby level, so they aren't too particular, but you don't want to push it. So to keep from overheating any particular area, we'll get a heat bridge on there. We're going to start here. And then we're going to use what's called the shotgun method. We're just going to go to random different spots somewhere else from where we just did. That lets that area we just did cool down a little bit as we heat up another area. We'll come up here and do this guy. There we go. We'll come down here. Get some more solder off the spool, I hope. Oh, it got all tangled up. There we go. Yeah, so this is where you're going to want to fast forward. This is just tedium. There we go. You can get the right music on. If you got a large solder project, you can get the right music going or the right podcast going, and it's great. You just sit back and listen for a little bit. And let your hands do the work and move on to the next project. There we go. There we go. Go up to that guy. Kind of like changing lug nuts on a car, I suppose. Don't want to do ones right next to each other. There we go. All right, we'll clean that guy up. Fuzzies off of there. Man, it's like I'm using Sherman here or something. Compressed air off camera. All right, let's see if that focuses in. We'll take a look. These are a little heavy. That one's a lot heavy. I need to fix that. So you can see here that some of these, as I grab my toothpick, these are all okay. This guy's a little heavy. You can see that kind of bubbles out like a ball. Those are all pretty light, and that one's a little heavy. That's okay for hobby level, but I don't want to do that. So, if you have just a little bit of solder on there, you can come in with a clean iron, and it'll pick up some of the solder for you. There we go. That guy's a little bit better. And we'll clean off the iron. And I'm just reaching up and rubbing it on the sponge that's in the iron holder to clean it off. How's that guy look? That looks better now. There we go. Quick and easy. All right, come on, focus. There we go. I need a different potato. There we go. There's no glare now. All right, the next one is going to be the 220 ohm resistors. And, oh man, where did it go? I was going to get out my special tool, and I do not have it handy. Oh, that stinks. All right, I'm going to have to do this by hand. So, it's probably going to be like right there. Bend this here. There we go. And I'm going to guess that it's right here. I designed this board so there's plenty of leeway, so if it's a little long or a little short, it's not a big deal. And get in there. Oh, what the heck? There we go. Hey, look at that. I nailed it. And bend it out so that it stays in place. And we'll just do that again. Right about there. Yeah, let's bring that one. Oops, sorry. There we go. I was out of camera on that. And that's out of focus. There we go. That's a horrible bend, but it'll work. All right, so we'll go right there and right there. I'll get in there. There we go. Okay, another one. Probably going to be right about there. So we got it clamped in there, and we just bend the other side like that. And we'll come over to here. It's right about there. And we'll just bend that one down. No stress gets put onto the component when you do it that way. And that's kind of important. On resistors, they're pretty tough. They can handle it. Some of your more delicate components that we'll get into in other videos, they won't be able to handle a whole lot of force on them like that. I really need to get some more super glue on that guy. All right, we're going to bulk bend these guys so that I don't waste all of your time. It should be good right about there. Oop. Bend them all that way. And right about there. And bend them all that way. It's not the greatest, but that'll work. It's not just good, it's good enough. Okay. There we go. We'll keep them all consistent. And no reason to have resistors which way they go. They can go in either way you want. But it just looks cooler when they all have the same orientation. Ah, I kind of messed that one up. There we go. Yeah, I got a little bubble there. Might get it on all of them. I think I bent them a little too short. I was just eyeballing it. Yep, I bent them all a little too short, so they're all going to have little bubbles. Yeah, there we go. Now let me pop that back out. That one's, you know what? Nah, that one's different than that as far as the orientation. Hopefully you can see that. There we go. So the red's on the bottom there, and the brown's on the bottom here, the brown and gold. It does not matter on these, so... Oh, I had too many resistors out. There we go. Get that guy in there. And what I'm doing on the bottom side as I'm putting these in is just bending the legs out with my fingers. Oh, now I need a cough button. Okay. More of the tedium. We'll just do the same thing all over again. Get our heat bridge, and then go in and solder. Oh, that is out of focus. I am so sorry. Okay. Heat bridge and solder. Heat bridge and solder. The heat bridge kind of stays on. You're going to have some leftover solder on the iron. There we go. That's still in focus? Cool. Alrighty, and hopefully the crack that's on my screen doesn't show up in the video. Okay, there we go, heat bridge and solder. Alrighty, there we go. Let's see if we can focus that a little bit better. There we go. Heat bridge and solder. Heat bridge and solder. Heat bridge and solder. Heat bridge and solder. And heat bridge and solder. There we go. All right, now the handy dandy trick is I'm just gonna chop it off of this guy, I think. Yeah. And no, I'll just use one of these. Handy dandy trick to get the perfect height. I don't know if I've shown this in the previous videos. Is you can lay your lead down right next to where you want to cut, and you come in perpendicular to that with your cutters, and there we go. How about I look at what I'm doing? There we go. It gets you the right height every time. Now it's not working so well. There we go, because I was trying to shoot the film. Yeah, trying to video this and cut at the same time, and that's hard to do. There we go. And we'll slide that over and cut. You get the perfect height every time. Oh, hey, it fell right into place. So that's one way to do it. And that's the best way to get the best looking leads on there. Or you do this for a very, very long time and you've got it down pretty good to where you can get it without the extra help. In fact, that one is way too long. That didn't come out well. There we go. And we'll clean just a little bit of that up. Won't bore you with too much of it. There we go. And focus in. Nope, we got to go this way. How about we go this way? There we go. And focus. I haven't really looked at these up close yet. There we go. So they're all a little bit light, but not bad. The fillet's kind of concave. None of them are overflowing too bad. And it does need a lot of cleaning still, but I'm not going to bore you with that on yours. This is a good place to pause and go ahead and clean all that flux off of there so it looks cool. Because you're going to be showing this off to people because, you know, it's cool. So, you know, make it look good. Alrighty. So, last up is our LEDs. And if you remember from all the other lessons, how to focus, there we go. Our short leg is our cathode because cats are bad. That's the negative side. And there we go. Our flat spot. Oh, that shows up really well. Our flat spot corresponds with the flat spot there. The flat spot is the cathode. So we'll put the long leg in and the short leg. Boom. And we'll pull these out of the way. Hold that LED in place. We'll grab our next one. Short leg is the cathode, has the flat spot, and we'll just stick that one in. Long leg first, and wiggle the short leg in. Okay, next one. Roll it over. Long leg is the anode, short leg is the cathode, and there's our flat spot going in. I felt it with my thumb. You will find after playing with electronics for a long time that you'll be able to feel that ridge, that bump, and some of the other things. All right, so these legs are both the same size because I used this as an example in something else. I think I was actually trying to blow it up. And so, yeah, there's our flat spot. So we'll just put it in that way. I think. What are you doing? There you go. Get in there. I think I was trying to blow this one up and see just how bright I could get it. So, alrighty. Flat spot. So that's one of the handy things with it. There's several ways to tell where the cathode and the anode are. Short leg when you have the legs, or the flat spot and they'll all have the flat spot. So, although once I had a batch of diodes that the flat spot was on the wrong side. And nothing worked. Oh, boy, that was not a fun day. I think I did 25 diodes that way. And had to figure out what was going on. And it took a while because I'm like, they're installed right. So, okay. But that's the first time in since Jimmy Carter was in office. So there you go. Figure out how long ago that was. That's when I started doing electronics. Alrighty. So again, as usual, the same rinse and repeat for every part of the process. Focus in. There we go. We got our heat bridge, and we're just going to go in and touch the solder right there to the opposite side. And touch the solder. Sometimes I'll lift up the leg. If I think I'm a little heavy on the solder, I'll lift up the leg to drag the solder with it. And that gets the solder out of the pad and up on the leg a little bit. If you think you're a little heavy, you can do that and kind of get away with it. There we go. We got the next piece. And there we go. And there we go. And if you're wondering, it looks like we just crossed the 30-minute mark. So thank you for being here. You must be a psycho. There we go. To put up with this. That one's good. But I do appreciate Psychos Unite. Yeah. Okay. There we go. And there we go. All right. And in the interest of time, we're just going to focus again. All right. If somebody knows a good camera to use for doing this, let me know. Something that's not, ridiculously expensive. I'm just going to bulk cut a bunch of these just to speed things up a little bit. There we go. I'm just cutting 2 at a time here, right about at the right level. I'll grab this last one. I hope. There we go. Now, when you're doing it on your project, if you want to look really good, you take one of those leads, just like all the other ones, lay it down, and then lay your cutters down on top of that lead, and just cut. Whoops, my finger got in the way. So this does not look great. In fact, I'm going to clean up a couple of these. This looks pretty bad, actually. So there we go. Let's get all of my vision on here. There we go. Okay. But I don't want you to have to sit around for 90 minutes while I make it look perfect. Again, sometimes good enough is good enough. Alrighty. So there we go. We'll push all those into a bit of a line, and we are ready to stick power on. In fact, we are at the point where you can attach power permanently. Now, you have 2 options on this. You can come in from the top. There we go. And solder those into place from the top, which is not the preferred method. You can come in from the bottom and solder it from the top, which, I didn't put any silk screen on the back, so you're going to have to flip back and forth. All right, I got the red wire goes there. So we're going to do these one at a time here. So we'll come in from the bottom. There we go. We got a little bit of the lead sticking up there. I wonder if I can zoom in. No, I cannot. Okay. Oh, yeah, I can. Hey, look at that. There we go. And so we got a little bit of lead poking up right there. Wow. Oh, I wish I would have known I could have zoomed in. Hey, the next videos are going to be awesome. Okay. So we're going to come in. We're going to do our heat bridge. Oh, man. Wish I'd done all the videos this way. Now, be careful not to hit any of the components with your soldering iron. Okay. And then we come in with the solder. Boom. Oh, that is pretty. Okay, so that's our red taken care of. And we'll get the black one installed right there. There we go. Flip it over. Our lead is still there. Holy cow. Man. Okay, and there we go. Oh, that's pretty. Okay, and we'll chop those down to make them look nice. I'll put my finger over them quite often so that the little piece doesn't go flying away, and then I grab it in between my fingers there. So now we can zoom back out. Holy cow, that is pretty. All right, and if you did it this way, wherever you did it, there's going to be flux there. Go ahead and get that cleaned up so it looks good. All right, let's see if everything works. Oh, it does not, because I didn't put the battery in again. Okay. There we go. Look at that. And so, if you hit that button, they go to that side. We've already seen that. And now they go to that side. And that's all programming in the trip. When it feels that that one is at 5 volts on the pin, it's going to make the lights, it's put them that way. And since, oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. And there we go. Both ways. There you go. You got a sneak peek at that. All right. Well, I hope you had fun. I know I kind of did. No, I really did. This is a lot of fun. And I hope to see you in the next video.